There are times in life when we cannot help but watch a tragedy unfold with a sort of sinful curiosity. For most people, that time comes when driving down a highway in unusually slow traffic, when at about the time you're losing your patience, you discover the source of the congestion, a car wreck. At that point, most people can't help but to rubberneck, hoping to catch a glimpse of the tragedy. Most people recognize that that kind of behavior is deeply disordered, and we rightfully have a repulsed reaction to it. We should have a similar reaction to the slow-moving train wreck unfolding right now in Rome, the 2018 Youth Synod, which had early draft documents compiled by, quote, young people who had been visiting with Pope Francis. I don't think I need to tell you that this is all the markings for a disaster, which isn't being helped by the poor optics being deployed by the Vatican, such as in the case of this crozier Francis is using, that he apparently received from some young people when they were visiting with him earlier in the year. If you think that thing looks pagan, you'd be right, because it bears an uncanny resemblance to a druidic staff used by European pagans in antiquity. I really hope that they're not trying to tell us something, because they really don't need to lay it on thick at all. The Synod is already a train wreck by their own admission, though they'd probably characterize it as a wild success. If you don't believe me, let's have a look at what one mainstream Catholic media outlet is saying about this. Headline from the National Catholic Register. Quote-unquote LGBT Catholics send their experiences to Youth Synod delegates. Equal Future is facilitating story sharing via its website. Dublin, the Synod of Bishops on Young People, which begins today in Rome, is a once-in-a-generation moment, according to Tiernan Brady of Equal Future, a coalition of 100 LGBT groups and Catholic religious from over 60 countries. Yeah, that sounds promising. Brady believes the Synod could herald change that will be felt for years to come across the world. Changing negative attitudes in the Church towards LGBT people is the reason he is spearheading a campaign to help LGBT Catholics tell their stories to Synod delegates of how they have been damaged by church teaching and attitudes. Ooh boy. The website equalfuture2018.com allows LGBT people to identify their country or region representative at the Synod, the decision makers, and send the delegates an account of their experiences as an LGBT Catholic. Brady, 44, said the Synod is the closest thing the Church gets to a democratic process, and that is an opportunity to discuss real challenges of young people and the exclusion that young LGBT people face. It is an opportunity to highlight the damage and ask people to consider what they want to do about that, Brady said. This is absolutely not an anti-church campaign. It is not a gay versus God discussion. It is about the reality of the damage done to people across society. The Church, as a major leader in the world, can do something powerful to end it. The County Donegal-born Irish activist was director of the referendum campaigns for same-sex marriage in Ireland and Australia, which pitted him in opposition to the Catholic hierarchies in both countries. In my mind, this man should be excommunicated. I'm from a very stereotypical Irish family, Brady told NCR. My late family and my mother, a retired religion teacher, were very religious people. My uncle is a priest in Peru, so I am out of Hollywood Central casting when it comes to Irish Catholic families. He has never thought anti-church campaigns are useful because there is plenty of overlap between the church and LGBT people, really. You don't have to pick one or the other, he said. Actually, you kind of do. For Brady, the question is, how do we as a society make everybody feel cherished? So who is Equal Future? A quick Google search turned up their website. Feel free to explore and send any juicy details you find to me. A link is in the description. Here is their mission statement, and it's straight out of a cultural Marxist lecture at a degenerate American university like Portland State University or Berkeley. In an era of rapid technological change, hard-won victories of the social justice community are at risk. The key practical protections for our civil rights, from court cases that interpret Bill of Rights to landmark 20th century civil rights laws to accepted notions of government and corporate behavior, were designed against a factual background different from the one we face today. Social justice depends on how governments and corporations make the key decisions that reshape people's lives. In housing, lending, health, employment, criminal justice, and a host of other areas, those decisions are now being made with new tools and methods that did not exist when core civil rights protections were first established. Securing civil rights for the future will require making sure that these new systems no less than the older ones that they replace, reflect our shared values. Equal Future aims to lay the foundation for this new conversion, mapping the changing landscape within which the struggle for social justice and civil rights continues. That's a lot of nonsense that has no place being affiliated with Catholicism, yet our shepherds seem hell-bent on not only opening the windows of the church to the world to let some air in, they seem hell-bent on knocking down a few walls as well, so the world can come in and take up residence. But it gets worse, and I know I say that a lot on this channel, but it's true. Headline from LifeSite News: Youth Synod's documents use of LGBT is a big problem. Yeah, you think? For the first time in history, Vatican officials have seemingly embraced the notion that some people are born gay, lesbian, bisexual, and transgender via the inclusion of the term LGBT in the preparatory documents for the Holy See's upcoming Youth Synod. Pro-LGBT Catholic organizations have cheered this as an important milestone. Pastor Jimmy Martin of the Jesuit Church, the so-called priest who stands at the forefront of promoting the normalization of homosexuality and transgenderism within the Church, accurately observed that for Orthodox Catholics, it'll be harder to object now to the infiltration of gay ideology. Rome's inclusion of the term was met with immediate, forceful pushback. This is a big problem. We do not use the political language of gay rights and associated movements when analyzing the nature of man and the nature of sin, said Father Gerald Murray, speaking on EWTNs the world over. The Catholic Church does not accept that there is a category of human beings created by God meant to commit homosexual activity. We don't believe that bisexual people exist in the sense of saying God made certain people who he wants to have sex with both men and women, Father Murray continued. We do not believe in transgenderism. The Catholic Church does not teach that God made some people women but gave them a male body, and therefore they have to discover that they're women by overcoming their male bodies. We don't believe in any of that. LGBT is a political propaganda term, he added, using that in this document signs and it signals an agreement that all of these categories exist as natural and God-given categories of people. Big mistake. So who inserted the term LGBT into the Youth Synod document? Cardinal Lorenzo Baldassarre, Secretary General of the Synod of Bishops, explained in a press conference that the acronym LGBT had been taken from the pre-synodal document compiled by young people at their meeting with the Pope and Synod organizers on March 19th to the 24th. Synod organizers were very diligent in taking into account the work done by the bishops' conferences, but especially the results of this meeting with the youth, of which they were the protagonists. The veracity of the statement has been vociferously challenged. Just for the record, the document from the Synod did not use the LGBT acronyms, noted Jennifer Roback Morse, Ph.D., founder and president of the Ruth Institute, which strives to help quote survivors of the worldwide sexual revolution. So no, Cardinal Baldassarre, no fair blaming the young people, Morse told LifeSite News. The LGBT acronym is in the working document because some adult put it there for reasons of their own. The Cardinal and the others mean to say that they think adopting a gay identity is a good and helpful step for a young person to take. Let them say so plainly. And then there's this, mostly reported on Twitter by journalists who were in the room when Pope Francis made the following remarks. Synod 2018 has the opportunity to be a sign of a church that really listens, that doesn't always have a ready-made answer, closed to newness, closed to God's surprises. Let us leave behind prejudice and stereotypes. Yeah, it's more of that God of surprises, stuff that I'm really not sure means anything other than maybe it's time to change the church teachings about the truth. Here's some more from the Pope. Let us feel free to welcome and understand others and therefore to change our convictions and positions. This is a sign of great human and spiritual maturity. Great human and spiritual maturity. Changing our convictions? I was always under the impression that true spiritual and human maturity was found in a total surrender to Jesus Christ. And then finally, one I agree with Francis on if we assume by clericalism he means the Lavender Mafia. It's necessary to decisively overcome the scourge of clericalism, which is a perversion and is the root of many evils in the church. We must humbly ask forgiveness for this and above all create the conditions so that it is not repeated. I'll leave the Holy Father's words at that. These tweets come from the journalist Edward Penton on Twitter, which happens to be one of the journalists reporting on the story. Finally, there has been one source of sanity thus far at the Synod. Archbishop Chaput isn't having any of this nonsense about including LGBTQ language in Vatican documents. Again, Edward Penton reports for NCR that Archbishop Chaput told the Synod Fathers that there's no such thing as an LGBTQ, transgender, or heterosexual Catholic, and such designations are not in keeping with the life of the Church, nor should they be included in any official documents, and that traditional Catholic teaching on human sexuality is not a stumbling block for the laity. He quotes Chaput directly, and I'll quote him here. "It is the only real path to joy and wholeness," he continued. "There is no such thing as an LGBTQ Catholic or a transgender Catholic or a heterosexual Catholic, as if our sexual appetites define who we are, as if these designations describe discrete communities of differing but equal integrity within the real ecclesial community, the body of Jesus Christ." The good Archbishop felt it necessary to go off like this because the Synod draft document Instrumentum Laboris in paragraph 197 actually used that psychobabble phrase that is favored by the San Francisco lifestyle lobby. One of the leading figures of the Synod, Cardinal Lorenzo Baldassari, had said that the language was included by the young people who met with the Holy Father early on in the process, but again, as I said earlier, that has been roundly rejected. If anyone wants to find out who added the language, I'd suggest start with asking Pastor Jimmy Martin of the Jesuit Church directly and go from there. Archbishop Chaput is correct to reject the use of this language. The Church has never categorized people in this fictional way, and it should reject doing so now. Instead, the Church must remain faithful to the truth about human sexuality that she has always taught. To reject the truth by adopting this fiction will be a disaster. Like I said, watching this unfold is like watching a slow-moving train wreck. So buckle up, because it's going to get worse. If you like videos like this, like and share this video and subscribe. I can be found on Twitter and Facebook with links in the description. For Return to Tradition, I'm Anthony Stein. Ave Maria.